Hey, hey, everybody. Hey, hey! Welcome to Ignite Talks, San Francisco, number 15. That means it is our 15th time doing Ignite Talks in San Francisco, which is really amazing. My name is Fyron. I'm the president of Ignite Talks, and I run Ignite Talks with my husband, Brady, who you met when you were doing the paper airplane competition, and he is now running our video and live stream. So just so you know, this is being recorded so you can watch it later on our YouTube channel. Okay, and this is my first time emceeing, so thank you. So thank you very much. Okay, let's do this. Awesome. Okay, so in case any of you are wondering why you're here, Ignite Talks is a series of speedy presentations. The presentations can be on all different kinds of subjects. It's usually what the person is really passionate about, what they really care about. They can be poignant, they can be educational, they can be inspiring, they can be funny. So they're kind of all over the place. You're gonna hear about a lot of different things tonight. And they have a very distinct format. So all the talks you're gonna see tonight have 20 slides, 15 seconds a slide. The slides auto-advance, which can lead to some wacky scenarios. So if we get in a wacky scenario, you're gonna have to bear with us. And they last 5 minutes, which leads to some really awesome math. So Ignite started in 2006. It was started by my husband Brady and his co-founder Pettis. They were friends. It started as geeks sharing ideas over beer, and it spread really rapidly, kind of all over the world on its own, and kind of took over a life of its own. At one point, there were 350 events all over the world. It's been just pretty much everywhere you can imagine in its 16-year history. And even though during the pandemic, things got a little depressed, just like all in real life events did, it's been really thrilling in the time that I've been working at Ignite to find that there are still chapters all over the world that are doing events. Some of them started doing online events, and many of them are now back to doing real life events. And just this morning, actually, we met with a group of about a dozen people who had contacted us over the last few months saying, I want to start a new chapter in my city. And we put together a 3-month program for them. So this is a support and resource that we haven't ever had before. But these people are going to start chapters. They're going to be doing events in their city. And we had people representing places like Algeria, Tasmania, Australia, all over the US. We had Cambodia. We had Barbados. So Ignite is alive and well. So it's very exciting. Our vision at Ignite is to enable inspired communication. And what I mean by that is that Ignite is accessible. We want people to share with their communities. So tonight you're gonna see some speakers that are very polished. They've done a lot of public speaking. And you're gonna see other speakers who are really taking a big risk to be up here on stage in front of you. And so what I want from you as the audience is to cheer loudly, be the warmest audience you can possibly be. And if anybody starts to stutter or stumble or we start to have technical issues, you cheer even more loudly. Okay? Deal? Okay. All right, so with that, our first speaker, you're gonna get the chance to cheer again. Our first speaker is a person of many talents. He's a copywriter, a musician, podcaster, event organizer, and even an amateur sculptor. But tonight he's not talking about sculpting, he's all about talking about ideas. Please welcome John Sung.
Hi. Check. Hello. All right. Yes, a microphone. Okay. I talk with my hands, so this is going to be interesting. Years ago, I made the decision to start writing down every idea I had the moment I had it without editing. Now I have over 1,000. Does this make me special and unique? That's what I'm here to find out. Not all of the ideas are good. In fact, I'm pretty sure most of them are nonsense. But if even 1% of them are good, then that means I've got at least 10 killer ideas floating around in there somewhere. Here are a few that I think might fit the bill. Prepare yourselves. Instant oatmeal, but instead of hot water, you add coffee. Everyone needs caffeine and nutrition in the mornings, and we already know coffee pairs well with a lot of other flavors. Chocolate, pumpkin spice. You get where I'm going with this. It's an amusement park filled with nothing but those big switches and red buttons and fiddly control panels you are never allowed to touch in real life. There's a whole section that's nothing but airplane emergency doors, so you can finally know what it's like to open one. You're homesick for the next 3 days, but you don't have a subscription to Netflix or Paramount Plus or whatever. There should be an option where you pay a one-time fee of $10 to get access to the whole thing, but only for those 3 days while you're recovering on the couch. There are a lot of magazines about celebrities, but what about a magazine where the editor-in-chief is a different celebrity every time? What would a magazine helmed by Taika Waititi or Nicole Byer look like? Don't you want to find out? I know I do. Kids love watching construction. I want an app that tells me where construction is happening and which machines are in use so I can bring my kids and watch their favorite stuff happen and make their day. We all love to smash things, but that means sourcing things to smash, which is why I think smash rooms are expensive. Giant blocks of ice are completely satisfying to destroy. Plus, you can capture the meltwater and refreeze it. It's a self-contained supply chain. I do still respect the concept of smashing things, though, which is why I also propose the inverse. Dumps and junkyards should charge people an hourly rental fee for sledgehammers and face shields and let them go buck wild. Get that stress out. When was the last time you had fruit cocktail? It's still amazing. There should be a booze version. We all know that sangria exists, but why can't I buy this? Off the shelf, already crammed with those little peach slices that are so good. Craft fairs are full of hot people. I noticed this when I was single, and I think it's still true, and I think the organizers are letting us all down by not providing a specific venue and time frame for people to meet each other and find true love. I'm already doing this one, and it's great. Randomly selected musicians get put in a green room for 5 minutes to come up with one song alongside a randomly selected artist who draws their gig poster while they play. Great for musicians, great for artists, great for the audience. The next one's coming soon. This is a magazine created by an algorithm that pulls random pictures off the internet, throws them into a template with no words, auto-subscribes you when your kid turns 2. It's cheap, it's disposable, another one's coming in a month, and it'll keep them busy for a little while. Every culture has a concept of food wrapped in something and fried. Put them all in one restaurant with a ring of individual cooking stations surrounding a common dining area, charged by the ounce. Put it in the mission, done. We can cram laser tag technology into any form factor. Why not do a Star Trek version? Different factions could have different weapons from different civilizations. Klingons, Romulans, Starfleet, it would be amazing and you know it. SantaCon is already kind of a crime in and of itself. But imagine, if you will, a heist movie where an Ocean's 11 style gang pulls off the crime of the century while disguised as Santas during SantaCon. How would you ever catch them? If you know, you know. And if you don't, no shame, just look it up. This book is wild, and it's full of amazing stuff it would be great to see in real life. This would be employment for an army of artists for years, and it would be amazing. Full stop. None of these ideas were the result of any special creative effort. All I did was make the decision to collect them without editing. But am I on the high or the low end of the idea generation spectrum? What is the average creative capacity of the average person? I need more data. So that, I have friends who've actually been keeping idea files of their own, and every time I get a look, it's an amazing glimpse into their minds, which is why I suspect I am surrounded by hidden creative geniuses, but I want to know for sure. I urge you to start doing this yourselves, and come find me. Thank you. You can find a podcast that I do where some friends of mine and I go into my ideas and theirs, as well as details on the next Instant Band Night and a newsletter I put out every week. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I know there are a lot of parents who would really probably like to have that construction app. Yeah. So next up, We are going to take a journey into the mind of an AI model with a Harvard-trained cognitive scientist who's going to tell us about how robots think and why it's hard to pretend you're human if you're a robot. Please welcome Anna Leshinskaya.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. AI has done some really impressive feats, like beat us at Go and drive our cars, but does it really think like we do? I'm a cognitive scientist, and I'll be telling you a little bit about why it's hard to be human-like. Let's begin with the notion that anything that we think about has to be represented in our brains. We describe what we see with a vocabulary in the brain sort of language. We can only learn about cats chasing mice if we can represent cats chasing and mice and the relationship between these things. The vocabulary in vision AI systems look sort of like this. These are little elements that an AI would use to recognize whether what it's seeing is in fact a cat. So it would identify these little elements to determine what this thing is. That's how it describes the world, and that's the way that it can think about things. You can actually probe a lot of the internal thinking of an AI using these tools that allow us to enter a text prompt and ask the model to give you what it thinks of this prompt. You might have seen these images. This is one from the system called DALL-E, created by OpenAI. This is pretty good, an astronaut riding a horse. Great, right? Here's a cat chasing a mouse from a similar model. There's a couple things wrong, and well, a few, but the thing that's most wrong is it's unclear who's doing the chasing. Now, we as humans are excellent at this. This is what makes us really good. We can quickly identify who is the agent doing the acting. The blue person here is kicking the patient who's receiving the action. We see this so instantly that it affects our processing of everyday visual scenes. After seeing that kind of scene, if you see another one with a different action, like kissing, but the blue person is still the agent, you'll be faster to process this than if their roles switch, and now the red person is the agent doing the action. This is part of our cognitive toolkit. We immediately see who is doing what to whom, and this is what allows us to understand something like whether the cat is chasing the mouse, and so on. So this is the ability that I think AI might be missing in today's world. We can combine elements according to rule-based relations. DALL-E can sometimes do this too. Here is its output for a spoon and a cup. That's not bad. But when you do something a little unusual, like ask it for a cup on a spoon, it doesn't do so well. This is a new combination that violates kind of the typical thing. And so unfortunately, it gets it a little bit wrong. This is important because if your self-driving car can't figure out if this is a person on a bike or a bike on a person, you might be in some trouble. Now let's do a little experiment. I'd like you to try to recall these images. Did you see this one? What about this one? Aha, perfect. You're right in line with the data. In fact, that wasn't what you saw. The original is up there. But the reason you accepted the one on the bottom is because it matched the abstract pattern. The second and third items were the same. We do this so instantly. This is just part of how we encode the world. And so this is actually part of what we see. We see patterns like ABB versus ABA. And that allows us to encode the relations among things in a way that AI is still very bad at. It allows us to think about a cup on a cat on a spoon versus a spoon on a cat on a cup. This is so easy, right? To be human-like, you need the right vocabulary and the ability to combine elements in the right way. In conclusion, you should be skeptical about your self-driving car's ability to put a cup on a spoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. All right. Have any of you ever moved to a new city, maybe where you didn't know anybody and needed a way to jumpstart your new life? Cool. Well, our next speaker is going to tell you about how she did just that when she moved here to San Francisco and how it led to a love affair with a new hobby. Welcome, Melanie Vojnovic.
Thank you. The year was 1998, and I'd recently moved to San Francisco. My friend Trina and I were sitting on the floor of her studio apartment, feeling a little lost. We'd recently just felt unhappy, and we didn't know why, because we'd just gotten to San Francisco, and this was our dream city. All right, the year was 1998. I'd recently moved to San Francisco. My friend Trina and I were sitting on the floor of her studio apartment, and we were feeling lost. We would finally move to our dream city, so why weren't we happy? Some tears, soul searching, and a bottle of wine later, we decided that we'd made a decision. We would commit to doing something in our free time that we thought would bring us joy. We would commit to doing something in our free time that we thought would bring us joy. For her, it was learning how to sail. For me, it was starting a book club. Raise your hand if you've ever started a hobby and kept it up for 5 years. Keep your hand up if you were still doing it 10 years later. 15 years later? 20 years later. I'm not good at maintaining my hobbies. I buy scrapbooks, I never put them together. I've started and stopped learning French at least 6 times. And yet somehow, despite all of that, I've managed to keep a book club going for 24 years. My mom taught me to love books. We'd go to the library every week and I'd check out the maximum allowed. In the 6th grade, I read more books in reading than all the other students combined. This made me really popular and I had lots of friends. College.
And 2.5 years later, the vision manifested on the side of the Bay Bridge. It was shocking to me, truthfully. I had high hopes, but it exceeded all expectations. It was an incredible personal journey as well, and I learned a lot of lessons. One of those lessons is you cannot give yourself to a transformative idea without being transformed by that idea. And this idea transformed me. I kind of lost my mind. I went from job to career to calling. I shut down a 20-year creative agency. I took a 3x pay cut. I took on running an arts nonprofit, something I have no business doing. And oddly, just as I thought I gave everything up, the world came knocking at my door. Cities around the world, because the Bay Lights was so successful, were offering me lucrative opportunities to work in Dubai or Singapore, Chicago, or Montreal. But I didn't quit my job. I didn't change my life around to do that. So I decided to stay put, go deep, create in the city I love, and build a community of people committed to making transformation, because it's important that we just show what San Francisco can do. And so we've been on a creative rampage. If you know these projects, feel free to give a little love, a little applause. Conservatory of Flowers for the 50th anniversary of the Summer of Love. Amazing installation in Golden Gate Park. The Hope Will Never Be Silent. As people enter the Castro, this honors Harvey Milk's 40th anniversary. It's his historic election as California's first openly gay elected official. This welcomes people as they come into the Castro now, very fragilely in glass, like Milk himself. This is a beautiful, deep work, probably our deepest work, called Grace Light at Grace Cathedral, just touching the divine, working with the artist George Ziziotis. I highly recommend people find a way to see this piece, experience it. The pink triangle up on Twin Peaks, amazing. This project, I think, has become an institution. It now shines for all of Pride Month, signaling the arrival of Pride across San Francisco, the Bay Area, California, and the world. Beautiful piece. A wonderful piece with artist, sculptor Dana King, Monumental Reckoning in Golden Gate Park, truly just challenging the story and the tune of America itself in a deep way. That QR code has been downloaded over 150,000 times since this went live on June 10th, 2021. Lift Every Voice and the Golden Gate Band Show. We revived this Spreckles Temple of Music that sat silent for almost a century. We have 125 live free concerts in San Francisco this year at the Golden Gate Band Show. Come on down. Crazy project, less than 3.5 weeks from conception to execution. Went renegade at the end. Shot a giant laser rainbow down the center of Market Street for Pride Weekend. Anyone see this piece? Wild, wild, wild. And also, and it was also Roe v. Wade weekend, and we just decided to put a giant dancing uterus on the face of the Ferry Building without asking permission. Without asking permission, I might say, this is part of the message here of how you create transformation in the city of San Francisco. Not so docile. Right now, we're working on the radical transformation and activation of JFK Promenade and Golden Gate Park, showing it as a place for people first rather than a road for cars. I encourage everyone to come out and see what we're doing on JFK right now. An amazing explosion of culture. But let's go back to what's next for Illuminate. We have a lot of big ideas happening in San Francisco, but really if Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love, and Paris is the city of light, and Los Angeles is the city of angels, we think San Francisco has the capacity, if we work together, to become the city of all. If we all come together and create a city that is full of art everywhere you look, quotidian awe, something that can inspire you every single day. No corporate message, no corporate sponsorships, no title naming rights, just a city full of beauty and expression and people bringing it together. So I welcome you to join me as we create the City of Awe together here in San Francisco, and we release the City of Awe Fund coming up a little later on this fall. Thank you very much.
Wow. Gosh, thank you so much. That's amazing. All right, our final speaker of the evening. She's a mother and a midwife, and also apparently a survivalist expert. And she's going to give us some tips and tricks on how to stay alive. But that's all I'm going to say. Please welcome Elizabeth Kiko.
Hello. Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting me. I feel honored to be here with all the speakers that have come before me. We've had a lot of fun and exciting talks, but now I'm going to step back and do something a little bit more serious with you guys. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself. I was born in England, but my family moved us to California when I was a kid. We didn't take a lot of things with us, but one thing we did take was this incredible book called How to Survive. It wasn't this book, but it was a book just like this. On every single page, there was all kinds of amazing survival tips for tragic events that might happen to you, like ships sinking and buildings burning and things falling out of the sky. But something that always struck me, even as a 7-year-old, was how absolutely detrimental, deadly, unsurvivable it would be if you came face to face with an ostrich. The book made it very clear that you had better odds jumping out of a burning building than you did fighting this bird. I know what you're thinking. Oh, sorry. I'm like so loud. I'm not used to talking to that. I know what you're thinking. How could this dopey bird, who famously buries its head in the sand every time it gets scared, that lives in Africa, possibly be a threat to me? Well, as of 2021, it turns out that about 1/3 of the world's ostrich population lives right here in the continental United States. There are about 3,500 farms with 50,000 ostriches on them. So they're right here in our home state. In fact, one of the most infamous ostrich attacks happened to our very own Johnny Cash. On his farm in Tennessee, he was nearly eviscerated by his pet ostrich named Waldo on his farm one day. In fact, he credits the saving of his life to a giant belt buckle that he was wearing that day. So how do ostriches stack up to other deadly animals on the food chain there? Well, they're certainly not the worst, but when you compare them to alligators, sharks, and bears, they are more deadly, killing 7 to 10 people a year. So what makes this creature so formidable? Well, the average adult ostrich is between 7 and 9 feet tall, and weighs between 220 and 330 pounds. It is the largest bird on the planet. Not only is it a big bird, it is also the fastest bipedal animal on the planet. Ostrich top speeds are between 40 and 45 miles an hour. To compare, cheetahs can get up to 70, lions can do 50. You and I could probably run 6 to 8 miles an hour at our best. This is a fast creature. Not only is it fast, but it is upset. You've heard of angry birds. Ostriches are angry birds. They are territorial, they are aggressive, and if they pick you out one day, they'll be determined to finish you off. Very aggressive creatures. So, you're walking down the street, minding your own business. It's not a perfect day for you because you've offended an ostrich. So I'm going to try and help you survive here with some tips. Step 1, remain calm. It's just a 300-pound, 9-foot-tall grizzly turkey beast with excellent vision and razor-sharp claws that wants to eviscerate you. You've totally got this. So here are a few options that might save your life one day. Option 1, your body is going to tell you to run, but your brain is going to remember the math. You cannot outrun this creature. In fact, it can probably run about 5 times faster than you. So, and if you turn your back on this thing, it will likely deliver a kick so powerful it could kill a lion. It'll definitely kill you. Option 2, hide. Embrace your inner cowardice. Find a rock or a box or a very tall tree to climb into, but be prepared to have to wait a very long time for it to give up trying to chase you. Option 3, if you happen to find a nice big thorn bush, jump into it. Take the cuts and bruises. The ostrich will often not risk cutting its own eyes to chase after you, so that's actually a pretty good place to sit and wait out this terrorizing creature. Option 4, if you're not dead yet, play dead. Better yet, play ostrich. Bury your head in the sand, lay face down, belly to the floor, and protect your neck. The creature will likely stand or even sit on you as it tries to peck you to death from behind. You've got better odds of surviving if you're laying face down on your belly. Option 5, when there's nowhere to run or hide, you gotta fight back. Hopefully you have a large stick at your disposal, which you can use to hit it in the neck, the legs, or even the wings. Consider poking it in the eyes, or even throwing your shirt over its head to distract it or confuse it for a while you try to escape. So, my friends, if you ever find yourself face to face with an ostrich, hopefully you've learned some tips for survival, but know that your odds are probably better jumping out of a burning building or trying to evade a sinking ship than they are to evade an ostrich. The end.
That is really information I hope that I never need. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. That is the conclusion of our evening. Thank you again to all of our speakers. Let's give them a big round of applause for being up here today. And you guys were amazing. You were such a wonderful audience, especially while we had our couple of technical difficulties. And yeah, this was a really great night. Thank you for being here. We have another event coming up on November 8th. If you liked what you saw here, we're doing another one called Ignite Marquee. It is a traveling Ignite event. It's the first of its kind. It is starting here in San Francisco. And it's at Club Fugazi, November 8th. That's a link. You can buy tickets, and hope to see you there. Thank you, everybody.